Oh Lord, it's good to be here with you. Let me tell you about the text message that still makes me cringe when I think about it. And trust me, I think about it way too much. So imagine this. You're texting someone you actually like, someone you're genuinely excited to hear from. They send you a message, you see it pop up on your phone, your heart does that stupid little flutter thing, and then what do? If you're anything like I used to be, you do the dumbest thing possible. You wait. Not because you're busy, not because you're in a meeting or driving or doing literally anything important. You wait because some crap online told you that waiting makes you seem mysterious and unavailable and attractive. I remember this one time, clear as day, sitting on my couch doing absolutely nothing. This girl I really liked sent me a text asking if I wanted to grab coffee that weekend. It was Thursday night. I saw the message immediately, felt that rush of excitement, and then I did what I thought was the smart move. I waited 3 days to respond, 3 whole days. Not 3 hours, 3 days. When I finally texted back on Sunday night with some casual response like, "Hey, sorry, been crazy busy," she hit me with the coldest, "Okay, maybe another time" in history. That conversation was murdered, absolutely murdered, in cold blood. Now let me tell you something I learned the hard way. The biggest texting mistakes aren't really about texting at all. They're about the attitude you bring to the conversation. I used to think being good at texting meant following some script or playing games or knowing the perfect emoji to use. It doesn't. I spent weeks diving into this, reading everything I could find, analyzing my own failed conversations until I had this massive document of notes. What I discovered changed everything for me. The first deadly mistake is playing the waiting game. You know what I'm talking about. Someone texts you, you see it immediately, but you wait an hour or 2 or 3 days to text back because you think it makes you look busy and important. Here's what actually happens. The other person was ready to have a conversation right then. They had momentum. They were thinking about you. They were in the mood to talk. By the time you finally respond, they've moved on. They're watching a show, they're talking to someone else, or worse, they think you're not actually interested. Conversation is not a competition. Nobody wins when you're both just waiting for the other person to text first. The second mistake I made constantly was writing novels. I would send these long, detailed messages trying to be interesting or funny or deep. I'd craft the perfect paragraph, read it over like 5 times, and hit send feeling pretty good about myself. The response I'd get? A simple "yeah" or "haha," or sometimes nothing at all. Do you know what else sucks? Realizing that you just dumped this massive wall of text on someone who's probably checking their phone between meetings or while they're in line at the coffee shop. They see your essay, they feel overwhelmed, and they either send a short response that doesn't match your energy, or they put off responding until they have time, which means never. The third mistake is the one I'm most embarrassed about. I would try to be someone I wasn't. I'd be overly polite, super formal, asking boring questions like, "How was your day?" or "What are you up to?" I thought being safe and nice was the right move. It wasn't. Those texts are forgettable. They're the conversational equivalent of beige wallpaper. Nobody gets excited to respond to "How's your week going?" We're hardwired to really hate fake people. And when you're texting in this overly polite, carefully curated way, you come across as inauthentic even if you don't mean to. Have you ever sent a text and then immediately regretted it? I used to do this all the time. I'd send something, see it sitting there with no response, and then I'd send another text trying to clarify, or add something, or just fill the awkward silence. That double texting, that triple texting, it reeks of desperation. I learned that lesson after sending someone 4 texts in a row about absolutely nothing and getting left on red. That feeling of watching your messages pile up with no response, that's rough. Here's what I want you to understand, and I really mean this. The problem with most texting advice online is that it treats texting like some game you need to master, with tricks and tactics. It lists 10 or 15 different mistakes and tells you to avoid them all. That approach doesn't work because it's treating the symptom, not the cause. The real issue is the mindset you're bringing to your conversations. When I was playing waiting games and writing novels and being fake, I was approaching texting from a place of insecurity and fear. I was scared of being rejected, scared of seeming too eager, scared of being boring. I used to be awful with people, genuinely terrible. I found myself in a lot of dry or boring conversations, and I thought it was because I didn't know the right things to say. I thought I needed better lines or funnier jokes or more interesting stories. What I actually needed was to stop treating every text like a performance. Intent matters more than technique. When you text someone because you genuinely want to connect with them, not because you're trying to manipulate them into liking you or because you're playing some strategic game, everything changes. Your texts become more natural, more authentic, more you. The attitude shift that changed everything for me was realizing that good texting is just good communication. It's about showing up as yourself, responding when you actually want to respond, keeping things light and genuine, and not overthinking every single word. I know that sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but it took me way too long to figure it out. Don't stress about it, that's all right. We're all in this together, trying to figure out how to talk to people through these little screens we carry around everywhere. All right, so we've talked about all the ways I used to screw up my text conversations. And trust me, there were plenty. Now let me tell you what actually works. What actually gets people to text you back and keeps conversations alive instead of letting them die slow, painful deaths in your message history. The first thing that changed everything for me was understanding that getting replies isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about genuine curiosity and making the other person feel like talking to you is worth their time. I know that sounds basic, but hear me out. I used to send texts like, "What's up?" or "How's it going?" And I'd sit there wondering why nobody seemed excited to respond. Those questions are boring. They're autopilot. They're the conversational equivalent of asking someone about the weather when you're both standing in the rain. What I learned from diving deep into communication research, and I'm talking about reading actual studies on active listening and engagement, is that people respond to specificity and authenticity. Instead of asking, "How are you?" try referencing something specific from your last conversation. Something like, "Hey, did you ever finish that show you were binging last week?" Or, "I saw this meme and immediately thought of that story you told me about your terrible boss." Do you see what that does? It shows you were actually paying attention. It shows you remember them. And people love feeling remembered. Let me tell you about the voice memo hack, because this one is honestly life-changing. I discovered this by accident after typing out this long text response to a friend and realizing it was way too much to send. Instead of sending a novel or trying to cut it down, I just hit record and sent a voice memo. The response I got was immediate and way more engaged than any text I'd sent in weeks. Voice memos inject life into dying conversations because they add tone, emotion, and personality that text just can't capture. When someone hears your actual voice, laughing or getting excited, or even just being casual, it feels more real, more connected. Now, I'm not saying send voice memos all the time to everyone. That would be weird and probably annoying. But when a conversation is starting to feel flat or one-sided, or when you're trying to explain something that's getting lost in translation over text, switch it up. Send a 15 or 20-second voice note. It breaks the pattern, it shows you're willing to be vulnerable and authentic, and honestly, it's just more fun. I've had so many conversations completely turn around because I sent a voice memo that made someone laugh or feel like we were actually talking, instead of just exchanging words on a screen. The curiosity framework is another thing I wish I'd learned years ago. Here's how it works. Instead of asking closed questions that lead to yes or no answers, ask questions that make people want to elaborate. Instead of, "Did you have a good day?" try, "What was the best part of your day?" Instead of, "Are you free this weekend?" try, "What are you up to this weekend?" Anything exciting. The difference is subtle, but powerful. One version shuts down the conversation, the other opens it up and invites the person to share more. I remember using this on a text conversation that was going nowhere. This person I'd been texting was giving me one-word answers, and I was about ready to give up. Then I asked them, "What's something you're looking forward to this week?" And suddenly, they sent me 3 paragraphs about this concert they were going to and how excited they were. That one question unlocked the conversation because it gave them something interesting to talk about, something they actually cared about. Curiosity isn't just a technique, it's an attitude. When you're genuinely curious about someone, your texts naturally get better. Here's the thing about breaking patterns that nobody talks about. If you and someone have been texting back and forth in short messages for days, doing the exact same thing, the conversation will eventually die. It just will. That's why you need to know when to switch things up. Send a funny picture, share a random thought, suggest moving the conversation to a phone call, or just be honest and say something like, "I feel like we're stuck in small talk mode. Tell me something real." That last one is risky, I'll admit, but it works way more often than you'd think because most people are also tired of surface level conversations. I used to think playing it cool was the move. Act uninterested, don't show too much enthusiasm, keep everything casual and detached. That approach got me exactly nowhere. What actually works is being authentic. If you're excited to talk to someone, show it. If something they said made you laugh, tell them. If you want to hang out, just say, "Hey, I'd love to grab coffee sometime if you're down." Being authentic beats playing it cool every single time because people can sense when you're being real versus when you're performing. Let me be clear about something. These aren't manipulation tactics. I'm not teaching you how to trick people into liking you or responding to you. What I'm sharing is what I learned from years of being terrible at texting, analyzing my mistakes, and figuring out what actually creates genuine connection. The goal isn't to get someone to reply for the sake of replying. The goal is to have actual conversations with people you care about. Conversations that feel natural and engaging and real. One more thing before we wrap this up. The timing of when you text matters, but not in the way you think. It's not about waiting 3 days or texting at exactly 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's about texting when you actually have something to say, when you're in the right headspace to have a conversation. If you're distracted or stressed, or just going through the motions, that comes through in your texts. People can feel when you're genuinely present versus when you're just checking a box. So text when you're ready to be present, to actually engage, and you'll see a massive difference in how people respond. Life looks better when you stop playing games and start showing up as yourself. Not just conversations, but life goes up. That's what I've learned through all of this. The best texts you can send are the ones that come from a place of authenticity, curiosity, and genuine interest in the other person. Everything else is just noise.